Gentlemen, let's be real for a second. You've probably had one of those moments. She says something that makes no sense to you. You try to explain your point, and before you know it, you're both caught in a heated back and forth that leaves you more frustrated than understood. You walk away thinking, why can't she just listen? But here's the truth. The more you argue with a woman, the less she respects you. That's right. Not because you're wrong, but because you're trying too hard to prove that you're right. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about what most men wish someone had told them years ago. How to move smarter, not louder, when it comes to women. The topic we're unpacking is simple yet powerful. Don't argue with her, do this instead. And she'll start seeing you differently. It's about understanding that sometimes silence, composure, and a certain kind of presence can say more than 100 explanations ever could. This isn't about manipulation or dominance. It's about control, the kind that starts within you. When you learn to stop chasing validation through arguments, and instead let your actions, your tone, and your boundaries speak for you, everything changes. She starts noticing something different. She feels your energy shift. And that's when respect, real, lasting respect, begins to grow. Stay tuned, because this one might just change how you handle every disagreement from now on. 1. Why? Arguing never works. When you argue with a woman, you might think you're defending your point, standing your ground, or proving that you're right. But what you're really doing is handing over your power. See, arguments aren't about logic when emotions are high. You could have the strongest reasoning in the world, but if you're trying to win an emotional battle with facts, you've already lost. Because while you're focused on making her understand, she's watching how you respond. She's not just hearing your words, she's feeling your energy. When a man argues, it often comes from frustration. You want to be heard, respected, and taken seriously. But from her side, your raised tone, defensive body language, or need to win the exchange comes off as insecurity, not strength. That's why even when you think you've proven your point, the atmosphere still feels off. She's not drawn closer, she's pulled away. Why? Because no woman is inspired by a man who loses his emotional balance to make a point. The truth is, women don't remember what you said in an argument. They remember how you made them feel. If you made her feel unsafe, unseen, or overwhelmed, she'll emotionally check out. That's why arguing never works. It damages connection while convincing you that you're fixing it. The man who knows how to stay calm under pressure, who doesn't get pulled into emotional traps, earns a different kind of respect. The kind that makes her listen, not because she's defeated, but because she's drawn to your composure. 2. The power of emotional control. Emotional control is one of the most underrated strengths a man can have. Most guys think power comes from being dominant, loud, or unshakably confident in their words. But true power shows in how calm you remain when emotions run high. A man who controls his emotions doesn't suppress them. He directs them. He doesn't react impulsively to what she says or does. Instead, he chooses his response, and that choice gives him authority without saying a word. Think about it. When you lose your cool, you lose clarity. You start speaking from ego, not understanding. You might raise your voice, get defensive, or try to correct her every sentence. But when you stay composed, you create space. You show that you can handle tension without being consumed by it. That kind of control naturally commands respect because it shows maturity. It shows that you're not easily moved, and that's rare. Women often test emotional control without even realizing it. When she's upset or emotional, she's not looking for you to fix everything, she's reading your reaction. If you can stay steady, she subconsciously sees you as grounded, reliable, and safe. And that shifts her perception of you from someone she can challenge to someone she can trust. Emotional control isn't about ignoring your feelings. It's about mastering them so they serve you, not sabotage you. When you develop that inner calm, your tone softens, your words become more thoughtful, and your presence carries weight. That's when you stop chasing validation and start attracting respect. 3. What she's really testing. When a woman challenges you, argues with you, or questions your decisions, it's not always about the surface level issue. Most of the time, she's testing something deeper: your emotional strength, your consistency, and your ability to lead with calmness instead of chaos. These moments aren't just disagreements. They're windows into how you handle pressure. And whether she knows it or not, she's looking for reassurance through your response. See, women don't test men to be cruel or manipulative. They test because they want to feel secure. A woman wants to know that when life gets stressful, you won't fold or lash out. When she's emotional, what she's really asking is, can I trust his energy when I'm not at my best? If your reaction is to argue back, raise your tone, or try to overpower her, the answer she receives is no. But if you stay composed, patient, and firm, you pass that test without saying much. These tests can come in small ways: sarcasm, attitude, sudden withdrawal, or even subtle challenges to your opinion. The mistake many men make is taking these moments personally, thinking they're under attack. But the truth is, she's trying to see if you're stable. She's checking whether your emotions control you or you control them. When you understand this, you stop reacting and start observing. A man who recognizes these tests doesn't get offended. He stays grounded. He knows that calmness is strength and that patience is power. When she realizes her storm doesn't shake you, that's when her respect deepens. You stop being just another man who argues and become the man she feels safe following, even when she's emotional. 4. Silence speaks louder. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can say is nothing at all. Silence, when used wisely, is not weakness, it's strength under control. In moments of conflict or tension, men often feel the urge to explain, justify, or defend themselves. But when emotions are high, words lose their meaning. The more you talk, the less she hears. Silence, on the other hand, creates space for emotions to settle and allows your presence to do the talking. When you choose silence, you're not ignoring her. You're maintaining control of the moment. You're showing that you won't be dragged into emotional chaos. A calm, quiet response communicates something words can't. It says, I'm not here to compete. I'm here to understand. That shift in energy changes everything. It takes the fuel out of the argument and replaces it with clarity. Most women don't expect silence because most men react instantly. But when you choose to pause, she starts to notice the difference. The key is knowing the right kind of silence. This isn't about stonewalling or shutting down communication. That only creates distance. It's about silent composure, where your body language, facial expression, and calm tone show that you're present and unshaken. That silence carries confidence, and confidence earns attention. Eventually, your quiet strength will draw her curiosity. She'll start to reflect, soften, and often re-engage with more openness. Because deep down, women feel safe around a man who doesn't let emotions control him. So remember this: sometimes saying less doesn't mean you're losing ground. It means you're leading the moment with restraint, patience, and power. 5. Lead with calm, not chaos. In every relationship, there's an invisible tug-of-war for emotional direction. When tension rises, someone has to lead the energy, either toward peace or toward more conflict. Most men don't realize they hold that power. When you let emotions control you, you hand over leadership without even knowing it. But when you choose calmness, you set the emotional tone of the entire interaction. That's how real leaders operate. Not through dominance, but through composure. Leading with calm doesn't mean being passive or letting disrespect slide. It means responding with intention instead of reaction. It's the difference between saying, "You're overreacting," and saying, "I understand you're upset. Let's talk when we're both calm." That one sentence can shift the entire atmosphere. It shows emotional maturity, confidence, and control, three traits that every woman subconsciously respects in a man. Women feel safest with men who can anchor them emotionally. When she's storming, she doesn't need you to match her storm. She needs you to be her calm. The man who can stay grounded when emotions are flying everywhere becomes the emotional leader in the relationship, not by force, but by presence. You guide the tone, you steady the mood, and she follows that lead naturally. The irony is, the calmer you become, the more influence you have. When she sees that her emotions don't shake you, she starts to trust your judgment. That trust turns into attraction, and that attraction grows into respect. Leading with calm isn't just about avoiding arguments. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that peace follows wherever you go. That's the kind of power no argument can ever give you. 6. Show, don't explain. One of the biggest mistakes men make when dealing with women is over-explaining. You try to convince her you're right, prove your point, or make her see things your way. But here's the truth. Words rarely change how she feels. What does? Your actions. The man who shows more than he says earns more respect than the one who constantly tries to explain himself into being understood. When you argue, you're trying to force understanding. When you show, you inspire it. Let's say she accuses you of not caring enough. Instead of arguing, "I do care," you just don't see it. Simply do something thoughtful without announcing it. That quiet act speaks volumes. She'll feel it more deeply than any speech you could ever give, because women don't connect through explanations. They connect through consistency, energy, and behavior. Every time you choose action over argument, you communicate emotional intelligence. You show that you're not desperate for validation, that your character speaks louder than your defense. And that's attractive. It's rare. It's what separates a reactive man from a composed one. When you move this way, she starts to watch you differently. She listens without you demanding it. She pays attention without you asking for it. So next time she challenges you, don't get trapped in an endless debate. Let your calmness, decisions, and actions reveal your truth. Because the man who proves his point through behavior instead of words doesn't just win the moment. He earns long-term respect. Remember, a woman may question what you say, but she'll always believe what you show. 7. Earn respect through presence. There's a certain kind of man who doesn't have to say much to command attention. His presence does all the talking. That's the kind of energy that changes how a woman sees you. Presence isn't about being physically dominant or loud. It's about being centered. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it." When you master that energy, everything about how women respond to you shifts. Your presence is built through how you carry yourself. Your tone, your body language, your patience, your eye contact. When you walk into a room or sit across from her, she can feel whether you're anxious or grounded. A man who's calm, self-assured, and comfortable in his own skin naturally draws respect. He doesn't beg for it. He embodies it. This kind of presence is what makes your silence powerful, your words meaningful, and your actions magnetic. It's not something you fake. It's something you build through self-control, discipline, and emotional awareness. The more you master yourself, the more naturally your presence commands attention without effort. She starts noticing how composed you are even when things don't go your way, and that stability makes her feel safe around you. When you reach this level, Arguments stop being battles. They become moments where your calm energy sets the tone. She feels it, even when she doesn't say it. That's when she begins to see you differently. Not just as a man she likes, but as one she respects. And that kind of respect lasts longer than attraction ever could. At the end of the day, arguing only feeds ego, not connection. The real power lies in how you carry yourself when emotions rise. When you stop reacting and start leading with calmness, silence, and self-control, everything changes. She begins to view you through a different lens, not as another man trying to win, but as one who already knows his worth. That quiet strength earns her respect, not through fear or dominance, but through presence and composure. Remember, you don't need to argue to be understood. Be steady, be clear, and she'll start seeing you differently.